Welcome to the Nobody Listens podcast. I'm Maddie.
And I'm Ruven.
And today we are going to be talking about Elephant, the fourth album by the White Stripes from 2003. This album was actually recorded in 2002 over just 2 weeks in Toe Rag Studios in London and includes a few guest vocals by British musicians such as Holly, I can't pronounce her last name.
Do we have more than one? Oh, we have two guest vocalists, one spoken thing and one sung thing.
Yep.
But like we did last time with the Beatles, we will be talking about the album track by track, but later on because I think the White Stripes need a bit more background than the Beatles do. I mean, most people kind of know who the Beatles are, but the White Stripes, they aren't as universally known.
So they are an alternative rock group, two people from the USA, Jack and Meg White, who were initially thought to be a brother and sister, but later it emerged that they were in fact married. I think this is what they're kind of most famous for, other than the first song on this album.
They were actually founded 20 years ago this year, and their last album was released 10 years ago. So they were kind of active as a recording act for 10 years. 10 years ago, they were together as a band a bit longer after their last recorded album. And do you know where the name comes from?
Weren't they originally called, was it the Red and White Stripes?
Yeah, the Red and White Stripes, because, I mean, most of the design is red and white, with some black in it. But do you know the black and red and white stripes of what?
Wasn't it Meg's drum kit?
Yeah, Meg's drum kit is painted like that because she likes those sweets. The sweets that have the red and white stripes.
So the bass drum kind of looks like one of those.
Yeah, she painted it to look like this, and then the rest of the band's design just is designed after the drum kit, or the other way around.
Those are good, by the way.
Though I haven't had those in ages.
But they're good.
Yeah. So this album cover, like everything the White Stripes have ever done, is in red and white with some black in it. And this album cover looks really like a classic art. I don't know how you call the art that this reminds me of, but they are like posed and you see them sitting on a case, and Meg has a snake in her dress and Jack is looking at a lamp on the ceiling, and the lighting is all artsy and shit.
They've got the circus trunk and the peanut shells and stuff.
Do you know what any of this means? Because I
don't know, in a 2007 interview, Jack said that if you look at it head on, it looks like an elephant, and that him and Meg are the ears, and it kind of looks like one from side view as well.
I don't see it.
But honestly, I don't see it.
Two things I didn't mention that are on the cover, and thank you for mentioning the peanuts. One thing...
That's the only reference I can think of to the title, the peanuts.
The peanuts, yeah. But two things that I didn't mention, and you didn't add, are the cricket bat that Jack is holding, and the skull behind Meg. And Meg is actually crying on this cover. So many little details on this cover, which is like the opposite of last time we talked about an album cover, where there was literally nothing on it. I kind of try to find meaning in this, connected to the songs, connected to the band, but I can't really find anything.
The death of the sweetheart in American culture was one quote about it. I don't know who by. I'm not well versed enough. Perhaps it's kind of playing on an American literary and cinematic trope.
What I kind of see in this cover, though, is that Meg is sitting on like the dark side. You know, she's crying and there's a snake and the death's head, the skull, and Jack is like looking away, looking directly into the light, looking up, and having something to defend himself with, while Meg seems kind of vulnerable. And I'm not sure...
So duality, kind of?
Yeah, there's a bit of a duality. I mean, she's also in all white and he's in mostly all red. So they are very different from each other on this design with their pose and their clothes.
It also kind of makes me think of, I'd say, common representations of relationships in American film and books and culture in general.
And of course,
Even British.
their relationship as brother and sister is invented, and their relationship as a couple had just ended when this album was recorded. I think that is what the title is referring to. There is, I don't know if that's just an American thing or whether you guys on your weird island have that too, the elephant in the room.
Yeah, we
The
do.
thing you don't address, but everyone knows about this. I think
That didn't occur to me, but it makes sense.
the elephant in the room is that everybody now knows that they weren't brother and sisters, and everybody knows that they are a couple which just broke up.
But also, before they kind of made it known that they were a couple, their relationship was an elephant in the room.
It was, yeah. Even after this album happened, they started most songs with him saying, "I'm Jack and this is my sister Meg." And in the movie Coffee and Cigarettes by Jim Jarmusch, which was released around the time this album came out, they are playing brother and sister.
Oh, also, you said that's a snake in her dress. That's a rope.
It is? Wait,
That's a rope.
it really fucking looks like.
It's a rope.
But it's a reference to what I mean, isn't it? It's a reference to depictions of Eve.
Possibly, yes. I also noticed how if you look at a lot of old portraiture and stuff, you know how to denote a person's social standing and lifestyle and occupation and so on and so forth, and who they were.
Yeah.
Often the artist would either position or add in things such as skulls or globes or musical instruments and so on and so forth. It kind of reminded me of that as well.
I mean, they are, I don't know who made this cover, very clearly calling back to old art with the skull in the background, directly where Meg's knee is.
The style and posing is not dissimilar either.
No. And the lighting, of course.
Obviously, it's a lot more modernized than that. It's kind of a very old-fashioned concept done in a very modern way.
Which is, I think, what the White Stripes mostly did. Because a lot of their stuff basically sounds like modernized music from the 60s. They especially often remind me of The Kings with Jack's guitar sound. And
I'm also going to make a reference when we do the track-by-track analysis.
When we talk about this album track by track, you mean?
It kind of is an analysis.
It is,
though.
but that sounds much more highbrow than we are.
Yes, but I think it's also important because I think, not to call anyone out, but I've spoken to people who know this podcast and also noticed some comments and such, which kind of shows that there might be some confusion about what we actually do. Now, I don't think we were very clear about this, so I'm not surprised.
I mean, we kind of still figuring out what we're
we
doing.
talk about works that have already been released and are widely known, and I think amongst people who do this, there are reviewers, and there are people who analyze them, and obviously a lot of other things as well. And I just want to kind of make it clear, we're not reviewers.
Well,
that's why I say we are analysing it rather than kind of doing this for the purpose of talking about how good or not good the piece was.
I mean, we are literally reviewing it. But the thing...
Yeah, but we're not consumer reviewers.
I think the word review has kind of lost its meaning. Review mostly means consumer review now, as you said. What we try to do is talk about something to start a conversation with each other and whoever is listening about the work of art and the culture surrounding it.
Discuss themes. Some of these are political themes, of course. Thing is that this is what we do. It's not like we're just trying to ruin everything with politics. This is just what we do.
And
I want to make that clear.
And we also don't rate stuff. Mostly the conversation of did you like this occur before we even start recording.
So just for sort of future reference, now I guess you kind of know what this is about.
And now we know too, because this is the 7th recording, I think.
Yeah.
And we have figured it out by now. We might change a few things in the future when we think, oh, we could do this or that better. But for now, I think we know what we are doing and we're gonna keep doing it.
Yeah, and I don't blame anyone for being confused because, as I said, we weren't that clear about it. But
Because we kind of didn't know who we were when we started.
that too. But now once and for all, I'm just putting it out there because honestly, it's helpful to people if I have to keep explaining what exactly we do. But it's kind of annoying for us.
So, the thing is, as with the last album, we highly recommend this album. Even before we get into this, I want to make it clear, if you haven't already, give this album a listen, and the White Stripes in general, and other projects of Jack White.
Same for the previous album we reviewed, because I really like the White Album, but I think we kind of ripped it to shreds.
And this might happen with this album again. I'm not sure. Have you seen the picture they released where they are literally standing with an elephant in the room and are being pressed to the wall because they're in the middle of the room?
I have.
I actually didn't realize why the thing I just said about the album cover before I saw this promo image.
I see it now. Thing is, you know when he said it looks like an elephant? Is there an elephant in the negative space? Because I can't.
I can't see the elephant. There is no trunk. I mean, other than the...
Maybe the space kind of between them. Okay, I'm grasping at straws.
I see a lot of things in this, but I don't see an elephant. The only animal you could see in this is a butterfly, because when two people are standing back to back or sitting back to back, they kind of form a butterfly.
I guess if you look at the negative space between them and then have their hair as the ears.
That is grasping at straws. I mean, there's something that artists always seen in this V shape, and it's not an elephant.
You know what this reminds me of?
No.
You know those ink blot tests?
Yes, Rorschach test. But they also all look like butterflies.
And people having sex.
No, they just look like that to you. To everyone else, I mean...
And this is why those tests are a thing.
Yes, I think that test is a thing to test whether people see a butterfly or someone having sex. We should review Watchmen someday.
We should.
And with review, I mean talk about for an hour on the podcast, not, because we are not going to consumer review it. We are just going to talk about this.
The character really creeps me out, but sure.
I mean, he's kind of supposed to.
But sure, we will.
Should we get...
But that's for another time.
Should we get into the track by track?
We should.
So, the album starts off with probably the most famous rock song of this century.
Which is, as you will probably know, Seven Nation Army.
Do you know where the title comes from? When he was young, this is what Jack White thought the Salvation Army was called.
As in the soup kitchens and the charity shops, and for some weird reason, military titles.
I have no idea why. I mean, I know why he heard that. Seven Nation makes more sense than Salvation if you're like a 5-year-old boy, but...
Is Salvation Army almost an oxymoron? Like, they're not opposites, but...
It depends on what you think about...
I guess it depends on your view of militarism.
It does. Like, I'm generally anti-war. I'm strongly anti-war, but I'm not anti-military. And so I don't...
Because defense and stuff.
Yeah, because... And you know that stuff like the police and the fire brigade are military organizations, even though they aren't the army. They still have, like... uniforms and ranks and shit, and honestly, aren't schools in a way military organizations?
They are.
Just mostly without uniforms. I mean, you guys still have uniforms, but
I mean, I don't know about the actual army unless we're talking defense as a necessary evil because your country's being invaded or something. I get that.
Or a catastrophe, which doesn't have to do with other people, but an earthquake or a flood.
It's natural disaster, yeah.
And I think that the military and the army, I mean, in our case at least, I don't know about other armies, is a necessary organization, even though the German army has a lot of really difficult problems right now, and is a kind of shit on the organization as is, but I still think we need it.
You know, you mentioned schools should kind of be less of a military organization.
I mean,
by a long shot.
I'm probably the only person who says this, but I'm not sure because I will probably have more of a view if I learn more about how to work with people. But I think I would have enjoyed school more if it was a bit more militarized.
That's because you're a fucking teacher's pet.
I'm not a teacher's pet.
You really are. You're the biggest teacher's pet I know.
So this song...
Or maybe you annoyed the teachers as well.
Yes, I did. So this song, Seven Nation Army, originally Jack White, when he wrote this famous riff, didn't want to use it for the White Stripes because he thought it was too James Bond sounding and thought, I might use this if I get to write a James Bond song. The thing is, he actually wrote a James Bond song later on, and it wasn't this.
And he didn't use it.
He used something else. He wrote something new together with Alicia Keys.
Could you have seen this in a Bond song?
Yeah.
Not this song, but the bass line.
Honestly, this whole song.
Yeah.
And if you see the video kind of looks like a James Bond intro.
It does. Maybe he thought he'd do a Bond-style thing, but on the album after all.
What do you reckon the lyrics are about? They kind of sound angry? I don't know who.
I think the answer to what are the lyrics about with any White Stripes song is fuck knows.
But musically, it's very simple but still very engaging with the build-up. Like, it starts off with the bass, which is actually not a bass, but a half acoustic guitar, which was recorded via a Digitech whammy, which makes the whole thing an octave lower. And then there are two different layers of electric guitar later on.
What if the first verse is actually about the Salvation Army?
If we replace Seven Nation Army with Salvation Army, the first line is, I'm gonna fight them all, a Salvation Army couldn't hold
Fight them
back.
off.
That doesn't make any more sense than the original lyrics do, honestly.
Yes, but it's a hilarious mental image.
It is, just skinny little Jack White trying to fight off people from the Salvation Army.
Is he that skinny?
He is. I'm not sure if he is anymore, but he used to be. I think he's kind of buff now, but back in the day, I think he was.
But you still would back in the day.
Back in the day, both of them, honestly. They're both really cute.
This is going on the gay compilation.
Next song, Black Mass.
Is that a pun on Black Mass?
Oh! I just always assumed that's just something you call witchcraft, but yeah.
What? Black Mass?
Black Mass. Yeah, that kind of stuff. Not that it's an established term, but I always just assumed it means witchcraft. Like the black arts, Black Mass.
Maybe. I'm thinking of it as a pun on Black Mass, and judging by the last verse where it says, because the song is pretty much about doing math, and most of it uses mathematical language, but it's not I don't think it's necessarily about school or education. But in the end, when it says, listen, master, can I ask you a question? Is it the fingers or the brain that you're teaching this lesson?
Yeah.
And it talks about teaching himself. I actually think this might be about school.
I mean, that is an interesting lyric. I noticed that as well. Which I think is about, at least, I'm not sure what he meant, but how I kind of see it in the question you can think about is, if you're at school, are you learning for life or are you learning for the test? Which is kind of, the brain would be for life. You know what I mean, right?
Yeah. Do you think the idea of the pun on Black Mass as the title could it be about the idea that, you're taught for the test, you're taught to just blindly follow and accept what you're being taught, so kind of an indoctrination type thing?
Yeah.
Of how weirdly cult-like schools can be.
Getting back to militarism, is there really, how far apart is military thinking and cult-like thinking? And where exactly is the difference? I mean, we already established that a school is not much removed from the military.
It's the same thought process and dynamic.
Yeah, military and schools tap into the same thing that cults tap into. that they use the same ways to get what they want.
Yeah, I don't know about the original intent, but this is the concept of the song to me.
I mean, fuck the original intent. We just need something to
You can
talk
never
about.
know the original intent
And we mostly
unless you ask the artist.
We just use
They might-
I mean, in some cases they literally don't. I mean, Stephen King doesn't remember writing a few of the books he's written.
Shall we go on to the next one?
We should, which is There's No Room for You, There's No Home for You, which is the most elaborate song on this album. It uses some kind of weird vocal effects and vocal layering in the beginning of the song, and I don't think this suits the band at all.
It's nicely done and all, and it works, but it seems a bit contrived.
It does, and I'm not even sure it's nicely done. Honestly, I think this loop thing doesn't work with as much reverb as he's putting on his voice. Maybe it would have if they recorded it differently, but it was very quickly recorded, and if you just have 2 weeks to record your album, I don't think you should go for something this elaborate if the rest of the...
It's almost as though they thought with one song, we're gonna do something different, fuck it, let's just soup it up as much as we can.
And it's not even that I don't like this kind of stuff. I mean, probably my favorite Queen song is the Prophet song, which has a lot of this going on. But it kind of fits the song, it fits the band. And,
it fits the band.
And it's clear that it was recorded over a longer time than 2 weeks. I mean, the album, not the Prophet song itself. I don't know how long it took to record this song, but it doesn't sound rushed. And this just sounds rush, and not a fan of this song. Probably my least favorite song by the White Stripes I've heard.
I think it could have had potential if they simplified it a little and maybe taken a bit more time on it.
Or maybe just cut the intro and replace it by something else.
Yeah.
I mean, this song is the second longest song on the album. It doesn't need to be.
It kind of... I tend to like it when an artist has something that's in a different style to what they usually do on the album, because it kind of cuts it a bit.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if that worked here. The song's not really memorable either. It's almost as though it's meant to stick out, but it doesn't.
Well, the intro sticks out.
The next one is a cover song.
The only cover song on the album.
Mm.
And I usually like it when the White Stripes cover things. They are really good at this. We should discuss the other cover song after this, the other famous cover songs they've done, maybe. But this one, I just don't know what to do with myself. Originally recorded by Dusty Springfield.
There was one before that.
Oh, you mean there's a version older than...
Yeah, yes, written by Burt Bacharach. I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
Yeah, he wrote the song, but the first...
He wrote it.
The first
but
one is
who was the first?
Dusty Springfield.
Are you sure there isn't a version older than the Dusty Springfield recording?
Oh, I just don't know what to do with myself. Was first recorded by Tommy Hunt in a session produced by Jerry Lieber.
That's the one.
And Mike Stoller. I haven't heard this version. I might check it out because...
You should.
I mean, I don't like the Dusty Springfield version. And I do like the White Stripes version a lot. It has this nice build-up, and he sounds genuinely sad on this song.
I could say that about both the covers. That when he does the cover songs, because they cover Jolene as well, it might not be in the same style as the original and other cover artists have done it. But what he does do is actually put some feeling into the song that fits it.
His voice is cracking as he was really crying. It sounds really fucking convincing. Even though we're just gonna talk about the Jolene cover as well. He's not even singing in the end of Jolene. He's basically just screaming. But you believe him more than you would believe Dolly Parton, because he's singing more emotionally. And she's Dolly Parton and he's skinny little Jack White, who is like paler than me and even more of a nerd than me.
So you can actually believe this happening?
Yeah, and I don't see it with, even though she's not my type at all, I don't see something like this happening with prime Dolly Parton. And the same thing goes for the cover by Why Do We Bring Her Up Twice in a Row, Miley Cyrus.
She's not your type, but he is.
She's also not really a good singer, but the Jolene cover is believable from her.
I actually preferred her cover to the original. She did it. She did it well.
She's doing the opposite of what Jack is doing here. She's kind of staying in her comfort zone vocally, and he's just going way out of it
Pretty
to
much
make it.
every cover of the song I've seen, be it by a well-known artist or be it someone dicking around on YouTube and finally managing to release it, I've heard some really nice covers. But in the majority of cases, it kind of seems like they're thinking, this is a nice song that sounds nice. I'm going to do it to show how well I can sing.
And no, don't do that.
This isn't the case here with the White Stripes cover.
And also, it's not the case with the
It's genuine.
I don't know what to do with myself.
Yeah.
I like covers that don't just copy the original. I like covers that do something new. And they kind of fit this song into their own style, which worked really fucking well.
I like that as well, that it wasn't a carbon copy and it wasn't a look at my pretty singing. I think this song is a good option to show off. It wasn't that.
On the next song, we have Meg singing for a change.
Her singing is so underrated. It's a shame that she hates singing.
I mean, she also hates talking. There's a video on YouTube where...
she's really fucking good though.
She is. This is one of the few songs with, lyrics you can actually understand. And it's not just sometimes you can't understand Jack White because he's screaming. Just lyrically understandable. I would say it's a love song, or maybe an affection song, to be more precise.
It's not necessarily a love song, but it's romantic, I guess.
Affectionate?
At least sexual.
I wouldn't even... I mean, there is one very well-written lyric. I at least think it's clever and well-written. About skin turning into glue, so there is sweating involved. That is, when I heard that, I was like, holy shit, why has nobody put it like this before? You kind of know what she's talking about, right? When with skin on skin and it's kind of sweaty and glued.
It kind of gets stuck together. Yeah.
But it could be sexual. It's a bit too relaxed to be sexual, I think.
I'd say with the style of the song, and I'm going to mention that in another song that comes up later as well, it kind of seems like it could well be sexual, but it's in an implicit rather than explicit way.
I mean, it has this fuel to make my fire bright line,
song.
Which sounds I mean, this fuel and fire thing is often used in songs when talking about sex. By the Doors, for example.
Like, it's not a sex song, but it does have... undertones, I'd say. Shall we do the next one?
Yes, the second song where you can understand the lyrics. Do
you think the intro... Is this intentional? I think the intro...
Yeah.
I can't really compare it to any artist per se, but my first thought is, this sounds like something a vaguely racist 6-person country rock band would do. Do you see where I'm coming from?
No, because I'm not... well versed in that genre.
You get all those bands that have 6 to 8 members and play country-ish rock music. I can't think of names off the top of my head, but I'm sure someone will know what I'm talking about.
I mean, it's good that you can't think of any names because I don't think this is the kind of stuff we want to recommend.
And not all musicians who do that kind of thing are racist, but there's often one or two.
This song, though, it's cute, but I have a bit of a problem with it, which I often find with White Stripes songs. One later on the album.
Lyrically or musically?
Lyrically. Which is, at the point of recording, they were, in their late 20s?
Yep.
And this song is written from the perspective of a teenager, I think, older teenager. And it's often the case that they write from kid and teenager perspectives, and it sounds kind of creepy sometimes.
It does. The other thing I don't like is it just goes back to the classic sexist stereotype of, say, a man winning over. It says, I'm so scared to take you away, I tried to win her over. Stuff like that. Men seeing women or women's affections as some kind of mission or conquest. You see what I mean?
I do, but the question is, do you think that this is something that he generally put into the lyrics, or that it's just there as a kind of role that he plays, as a scene that he wrote? Because a lot of this whole project, White Stripes, is very theatrical, with the colors and the rolls and
It could be,
all the
because
weird
again,
kid
there was a
stuff.
thing about this album addressing a concept in American media, and honestly, the whole storyline of this song sounds like something out of a romance movie set in the Deep South. Honestly,
Or a romance movie set anywhere which was made in the 60s.
possibly, yeah.
I mean, there is.
You see where I'm coming from, right?
I do. I mean, everything the White Stripes have ever done has this weird 60s vibe. And that includes
Yeah.
not only the sounds, as I mentioned before, they really do sound like the Kings, but also the gender roles and
The kind of backwards idea of how how men are shown to see women as some kind of goal to achieve, some conquest, some mission, that kind of thing.
we
Yeah.
didn't leave that in the 60s, I fear.
Unfortunately not.
Speaking of which, you've got her in your pocket. The fuck are those lyrics?
Seems to be about emotional manipulation and toxic relationships.
But it's kind of not condemning it. It's kind of just to very gentle music telling you about it without taking a position at all.
There are some serial killer vibes here.
There are, like,
Also, a kind of completely unrelated music genre.
yes.
I have two theories on this. One probably more palatable to fans and one not so much. I want to make a comparison to death metal lyrics. With all the violent misogyny and graphic depictions of rape, necrophilia, stuff like that. Obviously, it's not the same kind of content, but conceptually, one theory I have, which I don't think a lot of fans will want to hear, is that the people who write this are genuinely fucking sick, and they get it all out through the music, and then get all pissy when people don't like their lyrics. And my other is that I think a few bands have actually spoken about this. When you speak against an act or speak against something in a song, it creates a certain kind of atmosphere. But when you're talking about something like violence or something like manipulation in a neutral light, or even from a first-person perspective, and there's no clarity on what stance the artist takes, it creates this kind of revulsion.
And this is a problem here as well.
This kind of disgust that you couldn't get if the intentions were clear and the artist was condemning it. And I think that's a possibility to why that genre of music has lyrics like that. And a lot of those are about actual events, about serial killers, so on and so forth, but without the clear intentions, just the atmosphere it creates, the emotions it will bring out in people. There's kind of no other way to do that.
And I think songs have a bit more of a problem with that than the classical storytelling types of media, because they have more time to get to the point, and a song
Also,
only has a few minutes.
storytelling often has a plot from A to B. For instance, in a horror movie, people going through torture and shit and then surviving or killing the people who did it, or there's a plot like that which at least will hint at the writer's intentions. In a song, you can just write about a situation like this, or you could write in great detail about slowly killing someone and leave it at that. Leave out the beginning, leave out the ending, leave out the background, everything.
And of course, when you're the person singing it, you are the person that people are relating to. While in a horror movie, we are mostly relating to the victims because that is the perspective we are being shown.
Here, unlike what I was talking about, this isn't written from a first-person perspective of the perpetrator, but rather talking to somebody who's doing this and who's, by the looks of it, emotionally manipulating a woman into doing whatever they want or staying with them. And it's hard to tell. Sometimes it sounds like he's accusing the person. Sometimes it sounds like he's telling him how to manipulate her. At one point it says, nobody ever told you that it was the wrong way to trick a woman.
Yeah.
It says, you keep her in a pocket, well, there's no way out now. You've got her. It's almost accusatory. But then, and then later it says in your own mind, you know you're lucky just to know her. It does have a general accusatory tone, but the point in the middle where it says, but now she might leave like she's threatened before, grab hold of her fast before her feet leave the door.
Which is the complete opposite. And I'm not sure whether Jack is using his vocal talents
Hey.
in...
Actually, the two verses are kind of connected. It then says, "'cause you want to keep her in your pocket."
Ah,
Now that I look at it, the intention might be a bit clearer than I thought.
but the thing is, you kind of have to read more into it, and if you compare to what he's doing on I Just Don't Know What to Do With Myself, I'm not sure whether he's using the emotional range of his voice enough.
Yeah, and it's still ambiguous.
Yeah, that is what I mean. He could have gone more into his act singing. Like, there is a song on another album of theirs, it's called Rack and Bone, which has next to no singing and a lot of talking, and as I said before, they were in the movie Coffee and Cigarettes without any singing, just acting. They can do this shit. They can convey acting shit.
I agree that he didn't use a full range of emotion on this song, but I think that could be an artistic device, or it kind of works anyway. As I said, when there's no positive or negative emotion associated with the lyrics, and even with a clean vocal style, that makes the intention even less clear and creates that emotional effect in the listener even more. Shall we
To probably
have a ball and a biscuit?
probably my favorite White Stripes song.
I love this song as well.
It's amazing. I mean, it's mostly not because of the lyrics, which honestly
That riff,
mostly I
though.
don't care about with White Stripes thing. I just love all the guitar dickery.
That riff, though.
The riff is also amazing, but the solos and just holy shit, this is good. If I didn't already play guitar when I first heard this song, this would have made me pick up the guitar.
Again, I mentioned with the song that Meg did that lyrically it doesn't necessarily appear to be a sexual song. So for this one, when I first read the lyrics, which is before I actually heard the song, I thought, this kind of sounds a bit threatening, but I don't really know where it's going. And when I listened to the song with the vocals, the musical atmosphere, everything, I thought, this is a sex song.
Yeah, it is.
But what makes it a sex song isn't the lyrics.
No, it's really just the music, and it's not a Marvin Gaye type thing. It's kinda harsh blues rock. It's not even a sexy song. It's a sexual song.
It's not the whole brass instrument porno music thing. But no, why did brass instruments become the symbol for sexy music? Considering how unattractive, singularly fucking unattractive, somebody looked whilst playing a brass instrument.
Is there...
Sorry, brass players.
Yeah, but brass players, you guys sound amazing, but you often look stupid.
At least whilst playing your instrument.
True. Are you thinking about this photo of Louis Armstrong with his cheeks all bloated out and his eyes wide open? He kind of looks like a frog.
Yeah, I'm thinking of every brass band I've ever seen with their eyes staring straight ahead, popping out of their skulls.
There is a
cheeks puffed
picture,
out like a fucking hamster with a face the colour of a ham joint from all the strain.
Brass music always gets better when you close your eyes. The first line of this song is interesting to me. It's quite possible that I'm your third man, girl, but it's the fact that I'm a seventh son. Jack White is actually the seventh son in his family, in his actual family, not the thing he invented with Meg. And he owns Third Man Records. And before he owned Third Man Records, he was an upholsterer and had Third Man Upholstery.
So his mother has at least 7 kids.
Yes.
That poor woman.
True.
One thing I'm wondering about this song.
Can I before we get into this, do you think he brought this into the song? Did you think he just brought it up because he's the seventh son, or is he talking about this mystical concept of the seventh son of a seventh son?
I think because he's actually a seventh son, he thought, hey, I could play on that using the connotations of a seventh son.
True.
I think it just worked out together because, judging by the lyrics, he is talking about the mystical concept of a seventh son, but he made that about him because he thought, hey, it's not wrong, is it?
And I mean, he is interested in, like, I don't know where exactly it's from, but he's interested in, like, European myth and European folk music, because there's not much of this on this album, but there are, like, folk influences and other lyrics relating to this on other albums as Stripes and his other projects.
Also, He's American, right?
Yes, they are from.
This was
Motown.
recorded in England.
Yes.
Which biscuit?
What do you mean?
Because in the UK, no biscuits, as in the flat things that Americans call cookies but aren't cookies necessarily. Like, all cookies are biscuits, but not all biscuits are cookies. Saying, let's have some biscuits, or let's say someone's done something particularly good, the expression, give that man a biscuit, for example, is not unusual. Because people eat them all the fucking time.
Isn't biscuit
But
just
if he's
the
talking about...
English word for cookie?
Yeah, but not all biscuits are cookies. Hashtag not all biscuits.
Wait, you
But-
use the term cookies?
To describe a type of biscuit.
Let me get this straight. You use biscuit to describe every small hard baked good. But you
Yes,
only use the word
biscuits
cookie
are-
for chocolate chip cookies, or what?
Well, you can have other things in cookies, it's just a particular type of dough.
The round American
Biscuits
things.
include cookies, crackers, the things that I think are kind of unique to us that we dip in tea. Well, I don't dip in tea, I eat on the side because dipping something that gets soggy in tea is fucking disgusting. But if he's talking about the American kind of biscuit,
Yeah.
saying, I'm guessing those are kind of a breakfast food or something you eat with a meal, that seems like a random food to bring up.
I mean, let's have a ball and a biscuit. Kinda sounds like let's fucking eat.
How did you think of that before I thought of it?
Because in lyrics, music and especially dancing is often used as a euphemism for, fucking.
It is, but it's normally my mind that's in the gutter and thinking about food at the same time. Maybe you're learning off me.
You're a very, very bad influence on me.
I've corrupted you, I see.
You did.
He addresses the person he's talking to as girl and uses it as a last line in a lot of songs.
He does.
And we'll get clean together. And then he uses a soapbox pun. Shower sex?
I didn't even think about that. I'm not even sure why he's bringing up soapboxes at all. I mean, I
He
know
says
the
shouting
connotation
things
of
on
a soapbox,
soapboxes,
but
then-
I'm not sure
Yeah,
why.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, I know what that's about. But that's isn't that a very American thing with a soapbox? Didn't that start in New York
Just-
City?
You read it in the newspaper. Ask your girlfriends and see if they know.
That my strength is tenfold
Is that how
per.
groupies?
What?
Did he have a lot of groupies?
I'm not sure. I mean, as I said, they are both kind of cute, but
And are you sure the soapbox thing isn't British?
yeah, I just made a mistake because yeah, it is British. Sorry. Nah.
But you see where I'm coming from. Because it's clearly about him because he actually is a seventh son. And he would appear in a newspaper.
True. But his exploits wouldn't really appear in the newspaper, would they? And I'm not sure.
Not
I mean, this is a breakup album, so maybe there was a reason other than the two of them just getting apart.
maybe.
But I don't feel comfortable like speculating about other people's sex lives.
I
who
can't. Yeah,
don't
I
even know.
can't say for sure. I'm simply saying because he's quite a well-known artist, it's a possibility.
It is. But until this album was recorded, a well-known married artist.
True.
The hardest button to button. Does that mean the hardest button to close, by the way? Do you use button as the verb to...
I had another point about the last
Oh,
one.
Yeah.
What about when he says you could care less about me, which should be you couldn't care less about
Mhm.
me, but soon enough you'll care by the time I'm done. Yeah, you just wait, so stick around. What, by the time he's done with what? Why would you care? Is that a threat or is that a sexual boast?
It's a sexual boast. But wait, I also have a musical point to make about this song. Do you know the riff you often play when you play blues to end a verse? After you end a
Yes.
verse. This descending thing.
Mhm.
At a few points in this, he is not playing it after finishing his verse, but while singing the last line of the verse. And this creates a very, very interesting effect.
Yep.
By the way, if you're a guitar player and you haven't learned this already, learn to play this
Do
riff.
it.
It's very useful when you do blues improvisation.
As for the next one, you asked if we use button as a verb. Yeah, you do button a button.
You do button to button. So the hardest button to button means the hardest button to close.
Yeah.
You've seen the music video
You don't
to this, right?
You don't button a button that you can press. You press it, but you button the ones on your shirt.
Do you know the German word for the buttons you press?
What's that?
Druckknopf, which means press button.
Or press knob,
Or press knob.
which is probably funnier to me than it is to you.
Which is probably funnier to me than the person who mostly speak American English.
True.
You've seen the video to this, right?
Not recently, but I do know it.
This is amazing.
It
I
is.
mean, most of the Wild Stripe videos are amazing, but using stop motion, but instead of, Legos or other toys or household objects, using people and instruments. It's phenomenal. And that it's in the beat. I like videos which are in the beat. I also like when movies do things with their music. But the thing is, this is my favorite music video by a lot.
Of all time?
Probably. I couldn't think of any music video I like more.
I need to check it out again. By the way, is the ray gun in 1981 a reference to anything?
I don't think so. I think I always thought that it's a ray gun and
It's
it's
something that
1981.
happened in his family life, maybe.
It's a Star Wars toy, probably. Because
Probably.
otherwise a ray gun would be a very 50s, 60s thing. If it happened in the early 80s,
That's what I was thinking. Because it's a ray gun, and he says, and it was 1981 to clarify that it wasn't a 50s setting or whatever. I was thinking that rings a bell.
I mean, this bringing up a ray gun, which is a 50s, 60s type thing, and then bringing
In
up that it's
1981,
not...
probably a Star Wars toy.
That it's not, it's kind of this combination of it is later, but we are still doing the classic rock thing, which the White Stripes are always about.
I like to think it's a Star Wars reference.
I mean, that is what it is over the surface. Under the surface, it's kind of the old thing, new time.
That too. Also, is the ragdoll thing unrelated? Or does he stop the kid's toothache with a voodoo doll?
I kind of think that the kid is crying, he kills it, and that is the box with something with it.
I was thinking, does he kill the kid?
I think it is, because the box with something in it is probably the buried kid. I got that so late, by the way, and that's kind of ruining the song for me, or letting me see the song in a less innocent light. But I still love the song.
Maybe you're not actually supposed to see it until the end, because it's not till the end that he brings it up again. I got a backyard with nothing in it except a stick, a dog, and a box with something in it.
And then he just kind of keeps singing the hardest button to button, and the song ends.
And it talks about family troubles, such as we have a little place, we got money and a little place to fight now.
Which is a kind of good description for a house with more
Family
than one.
life, yep.
Any type of scenario where more than one person is living. Little Acorns, do you have a lot to say about this song, or?
I was gonna make a reference.
Do so.
The chorus, be like the squirrel girl, be like the squirrel, give it a whirl girl, be like the squirrel. First thing I thought of was Wriggle by Clipping.
We should talk about clipping sometime.
But you see where I'm coming from.
I do. The first thing I thought about is Squirrel Girl.
That's the second thing I thought about.
By the way,
I heard that and my brain was just going, wriggle like a fish girl.
Wriggle like a snake girl, wriggle like a worm girl, wriggle like a needle. I'm gonna do a barbershop cover of this song and maybe some other clipping
There must
songs.
be some way to mash these two up.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I'm gonna bring it up when I do the barbershop cover of Wriggle, which I will do someday.
Is this a parody of self-help speakers?
Yeah, I think it is. And actually, this is not a sample of something. The monologue in the beginning was recorded by a radio guy, by an actual radio guy, for this album. It's not a sample. I always assumed it was, until today, when I learned, no, they got a radio guy who recorded this.
I just looked at it as a piss take of motivational speakers and their analogies.
Or, it also sounds kind of churchy.
Kind of churchy or new agey.
I mean, often there's no difference.
True, but you see where I'm going with the new agey animal metaphors and all that.
I do, but, the church people...
Well,
have
you
a lot-
see that in a lot of philosophical texts of all kinds.
I mean, even
Oh,
these,
you know where it says, go on.
I mean, these kind of people, no matter if they are new agey or churchy, philosophical, they always have a lot of the same talking points. So it's kind of just what you are most familiar with, which in your case is the new agey stuff you love to rage about. And in my case, it's church stuff.
Also, whatever the denomination, a lot of these, or religious background, if any, a lot of these writers are often business people.
Mm-hmm.
They want to sell their books. They want to sell their speeches. Take all your problems and rip them apart, carry them off in a shopping cart.
Yes.
Did you just get that?
No, I got that the first time.
Oh, you did. I think the last one, telling her what to do their hair and all that. A lot of these people kind of like to speak for everyone and will tell you to make lifestyle changes, be it appearance, be it the way you view the world, whatever, and will tell you that you need to do this or that to be authentic, to be happy, so on and so forth.
Hypnotize.
Creep me out.
A bit, yeah. And it's not even the only creepy song called Hypnotize.
Is it a little stalkerish?
True.
And
Why by the telephone, by the way? What is hypnotizing someone by the telephone is about?
verbal manipulation, stalking, maybe calling someone up. I'm sure you've seen your fair share of stalker movies and stuff.
Oh, not many.
Whether you like them or not is another matter. I personally don't, but I've seen a few.
What do you mean by stalker movie?
Movies revolving around, say, somebody being stalked.
Stalker movies. Movies about somebody being stalked. Amazing description. Really helps me.
I don't know what else to say. Perhaps stalked in their own home, and, surveillance cameras, people standing outside their windows, phone calls being watched, friends being killed off, the like.
No, what I thought you meant when you said stalker movie is a romantic comedy where the main protagonist is stalky, and the movie
No, but
makers
those
kind
should
of
be counted as stalker movies too, because they fucking are.
You mean movies like, I'm not sure. Have you seen this movie on Netflix
50 Shades of Grey?
about the deaf woman?
No, I haven't. Oh, Harsh.
Genau, Harsh.
Not yet.
You should watch it. It's amazing. I think that is
That
what you mean by stalker
Mask
movie.
is kind of creepy.
Yeah, that mask is only in
Yeah.
one scene, so they have something to put on the poster.
I do mean that kind of thing.
Oh, I thought you meant shit romantic comedies. That is why I had you explain.
Or stuff like Twilight and 50 Shades. No, but those should be fucking counted as stalker movies because that's exactly what they are.
The next song, The Air Near My Fingers, is the most modern.
I was just about to mention that it's talking about holding her little hands. It just makes it even creepier.
I mean, this is just the regular Jack White kids creep stuff. I mean, it's
Yeah, more in a kid's creep way than a Donald Trump way. It's still creepy.
somebody should use this line in some kind of remix mocking Donald Trump, though. Oh,
They should. He
you know what somebody should do?
YouTube poop.
Yeah, you know of what? Of Macron not letting go of Donald Trump's hand, and then this line just playing.
Also, when he says, just think of all those guys who would tell you lies, that's kind of that whole, look at me, I'm a nice guy, unlike all those assholes. You owe me something.
I didn't even think about it like that, but true.
Should we do the next one?
Yeah.
By the way, this is the one I wanted to talk about, The Air Near My Fingers, that opening. What does it sound exactly like?
I'm not gonna try to sing the guitar riff. I'm gonna sing the vocal parts which have the same melody. It's this do 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 do.
I'm talking about the... Do you know Rape Me by Nirvana?
I do.
Do you see it?
Oh, you didn't mean the melody, you meant the tone. Yeah, as I said,
Yeah, I meant the opening.
I just thought you meant, because it has a different melody, but it has the same kind of tone to it.
I mean, people have also made, I think, you could probably make Teen Spirit comparisons, but that's just a rhythm. It's a completely different key, but it sounds a lot. It sounds more like Rape Me than anything else.
I mean, maybe this is why I think it's the most modern sounding song on this album, because it sounds like Nirvana.
Yeah, it does.
Do you have any idea what the lyrics are about?
It kind of sounds to me like him lying around in a shitty motel thinking about everything wrong with his life.
True.
And also, I don't have to work and I might be sinning, but I never have to listen to the rings of school bells. So, like, life is boring, which is the opening line. I've experienced this. You might have done too, and I'm sure it's a very relatable thing.
Yeah.
Which is where, when you're working or at school or otherwise occupied with a routine versus when you have fuck all to do, the grass is always greener on the other side. Like, when you're working or studying, you think, oh fucking hell, I have to go through this routine every single day. I'm so bored. This is so stifling. I don't have a life. I wish I could have nothing to do for some time. When you have nothing to do, you think, I wish I had some routine, some work or study. I'm just feeling purposeless and kind of worthless, really.
I know one of
You
those
see what I
things.
mean?
Yeah, I know about both things, but I only really experience one side emotionally.
Yeah, I kind of prefer to have something to do, but I can see where this is coming from.
Exactly. I can see where this is coming from, but I can't feel where this is coming from.
And I felt that way in school for sure.
I didn't.
Then when I took a year out, the other thing.
I honestly, even when I hated school at times, I still liked it more than holidays.
And you somehow managed to be such a teacher's pet that it got to the point the teachers didn't even like
I'm not
you.
a teacher's pet. I'm just an
Only
asshole to
because
everyone.
you have the traits of a teacher's pet, but it's too much for the teachers.
I have the traits of a teacher's pet, but I also don't like teachers.
You mean teachers don't like you?
And I don't like the teachers, and I don't like the students, and I don't
Yeah,
like
they don't
myself,
like
and I don't like school, and I don't like holidays. And I'm sure I feel indifferent
Fun at
about.
parties.
I feel indifferent about work.
You don't like anyone or anything. What about me?
Girl, you have no face in medicine. Probably one of the most eye-catching titles of songs ever. And holy shit, is this a fine song? And his vocals on this are just
I love this song.
off the wall. And so is his guitar playing and her drumming, which is so underrated. She's not a bad drummer. Also, she might have been suited better with a cajon than a drum kit. But holy shit, this song. It's just a song about placebo medicine, honestly. But
I just got something.
Yeah.
You know how it talks about acetaminophen, otherwise known as paracetamol,
Yeah.
tomato, the painkiller. And it talks about, well, strip the bark right off a tree and just hand it this way. Don't even need a drink of water to make the headache go away. I think that could be a reference to, aspirin comes from a tree bark.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the willow tree. It's extracted from there. Well, these days it's mostly lab-made, but so it's about painkillers and placebos.
It is. I thought that much was obvious.
Is this by any chance also about a medicine conspiracy theorist?
It might be. But then again, he kind of knows. I mean, it mentions sugar pills at one point. And
It does. When it talks about being allergic to a well-familiar name and not having a problem with one that has the same results,
yeah.
the problem with the lyrics here is that acetaminophen and aspirin might have similar results, but they're not the same thing. However, it could be also talking about how if it comes from a lab, like from lab chemicals, or it comes from a tree, it makes the exact same pill. Some people would take one but not the other.
There are many people who would trust the nature more than the doctor.
Yeah. The thing is, I think I might be inclined to do that as well, but you see what I mean? If the pill's exactly the same thing, even if in this case it's not.
I mean, of course you would be here a literal witch.
I take the tree bark as well, because paracetamol's shit for your liver. I'd like to keep my liver function so I can keep drinking at this rate.
I don't think you can do that no matter what you take. Wanna wrap this up with the last song?
Yeah.
Another long as fuck title. We had a lot of those on this album. Well, it's true that we love one another.
This was done with a guest appearance.
By a singer called Holly Golightly, which apparently is the main character of Breakfast at Tiffany's.
That's what I was thinking when I saw her name. I thought, what?
I have never seen or read that, so I don't know why she's called
Neither
that.
have I. That's why I didn't know how to pronounce the last name.
I mean, I just assume it's Golightly, like Go Lightly.
Presumably.
Who,
Here we're back to the pain pills again.
yeah, it talks about spending money that this Holly is asking Jack for on pain pills.
Instead of the bills.
Another very childish song, I'd say. Like childlike, child scenarios, other than this line.
I think this could be a reference to what the public knew about Jack and Meg then versus now.
I think.
Because on one hand, Holly says things like, Meg, do you think Jack really loves me?
And she
And
answers, I don't care because Jack really bugs me. It's an amazing line. And
It is.
also how she just sounds
It
so
is.
done.
When
She sounds so
When-
done at that point.
when she says, "Do you think he really loves me?" and "Will you call me if you're able?" and stuff like that, it almost sounds like she likes him in a romantic sense. But in the chorus, she says, "I love Jack White like a little brother."
I mean,
I think this is the reference.
yeah, because they were married, but they all
Yeah.
also pretended that he was her little brother, and even though
Yeah.
she is about a year older than him. So Holly is kind of the fictional or the non-fictional. I'm not even sure at this point. Is one of the sides to Meg White.
And if you think about it, this being the end song, they address the elephant in the room.
Oh fuck, they do.
Did I break you?
Holy shit, yes, after all this pussyfooting around in the last few songs, they address the elephant in the room. And
That facial expression was priceless.
after having just addressed the elephant in the room, I think we're gonna wrap this podcast up. We'll see you again next week. And the thing is, I don't know what...
We will be looking at fuck knows what
Exactly!
this time.
Yeah, next time there will be a podcast about something. Let's see what.
I'll see you next week.